You take this out of a package, it's going to be sharp, but it's going to work normally. What's one of the things we tell you to make sure of before you stick a patient?
Bring 2 kits.
I like you to bring 2 kits, but bevel up and make sure it's sharp. Okay? When you're looking at that bevel, make sure it's sharp. I've had them come out where they weren't cut properly, and you've got this big divot on the end of it, and it made it through quality control. Doesn't happen very often, but sometimes it does. Same thing with these. Bevels up, notches up. Now, it's got a built-in guide wire. Make sure your guide wire moves and comes out the end.
Basically, test it before you
put it in the patient and find out it doesn't work. So you run it in and out once, or a couple times. Yeah, okay, it's good. Now the one thing you don't want to do, that we are going to do, because we only have a couple of these, is if you start to slide this off, like if you take it out of the package and you by accident do this, and that starts to move, don't slide it back on and poke the patient with it. Get a new set, okay? Because if it migrated at all and that's sharp, you're going to slice off a little bit of that catheter, and you're possibly putting a possible obstruction into the patient's artery. So if that starts to slide off, that kit's done. Okay, so don't just slide it back on there. Get a new kit. Err to side of caution. All right. Likewise, if we get this in and you start to advance that and you run into a problem, you've got to take the kit out. Once you've started to advance this catheter, get another kit if you're going to re-poke the patient. Okay? But the nice thing about this is you take it out of the package, run it a couple times. Now with this one, go ahead and, not real hard though.
I wasn't doing it hard last
I
time.
know. I know.
I'm first of all weak, so.
So now we're going to poke, just like a blood gas. Now, see how that's coming up there?
Do I make stop?
No, keep pumping.
Okay.
Now, what am I going to do? I'm going to advance a little bit, and I'm going to drop my angle.
Advance what?
I'm going to advance it, the whole thing, just a little bit, and I'm going to drop my angle.
Okay.
Now, once I drop my angle, I'm going to run, and this should go all the way out. Now, I know I'm in the artery because I was able to run that whole bit out, so that end wire is somewhere in here. Now, you can stop pumping. Now, I hold this here, and see how that slides right in?
Yep.
And then I'm going to remove now give it a small pump. Okay, so now it's gonna squirt out at you. So I'm gonna take this and I'm gonna just drop this here. So everybody be aware, be careful, there's a suction table. Now, what are we gonna do next? Next, what's gonna happen is,
That's squirting out at you the whole time.
that's gonna be squirting up unless you're gonna occlude it with a finger really hard here, or you're gonna just keep a thumb over the end of it. Because the next thing you're gonna do is grab your proper end of your flush and hook it up, and once it's hooked up, now it's good. Okay, so now I'm not going to take that off because it's going to spray all over because it's pressurized.
Does the sterileness end after?
The sterileness just ended.
Okay.
Okay.
So inserted, sterile, we're done. Okay, this is hooked up to what looks like an IV line. It's hooked up to our pressure transducer. It's hooked up to our flush system that's going to give us a couple milliliters per hour to keep that patent, right? So now what are we going to do? Well, now we got to prep the site. So you'll take that off. Sometimes they're absorbent, sometimes they're not. And obviously you're not going to clean up the table first, but that was bothering me. And you'll clean up the blood and stuff. If you need to use some extra clean gauze, maybe an alcohol wipe to get that cleaned up, because it's likely you're going to have blood around that. You're going to do what they call a modified chevron tape. And you guys don't need to know this. This is just really for demonstration purposes, because I know you guys all want to suture them in.
Yes.
And this is what you would use if you're going to suture them in. This actually clips over this, and then you'd suture through that.
You're making me so nervous. I'm sorry.
I'm
I'm freaking out watching you. Don't do that to
here,
me.
put it in here.
time your arm goes near, I'm like, oh God.
No, I mean, the wire's sticking out of it, so I'll hit the
I
wire
don't,
before I hit it.
that's not the point.
So now what you're gonna do is you put a piece underneath. So the sticky side is up.